Dear Holly, as a late bloomer in her early 20s who has never even been close to being in a romantic relationship, how do I keep the concept of romantic relationships from feeling so huge and scary whenever I do cross over into that territory of adult life? Thank you, from a late bloomer, X. I think your 20s is the most scary time. Everyone says your 20s is like the best time of your life, but I think that pressure almost makes it scarier. It's the first time in our life where we're not following a set plan. We're so used to high school, primary school, everything we followed a set plan. We had exams, and then we had college or university, or maybe you're going straight to a job. We had a set plan, but then suddenly, soon as school finishes, everyone goes in different paths, and there's not a right path. Everyone's is different. And I think that comes with a certain amount of exhilaration and excitement that finally, for once, you can choose your own path in life. You don't have to follow like the set rules of high school. But then there's also a certain amount of anxiety that comes with that, oh my gosh, there's not a set plan for me and I have to figure that out. There's a lot of pressure that rides on that. And I think social media really heightens this problem because we see everyone's highlight reels and we only see their highlight reels. We see them posting on Instagram about holidays they're going on or like nights out. That maybe it's like getting the keys to their like new flat with their partner, like the LinkedIn posts, like the dreaded like job announcement LinkedIn posts, even like engagement posts. Like we only see people's highlight reels, and I think it's important to remember that those are highlight reels. They're only the best parts of their life, and that's the only part you're getting to see. And it's important to remember that everyone's path is different. Everyone's path is unique. There is not one right path. And I think if people were more honest on social media, you would find that a lot more people are in the same boat as you. Love is just one of the very many things that makes up your 20s, but I feel like society makes it feel like it is the be all end all. It's the most important factor. You could have like a swanky city job. You could have just been back from like a 2 week girls trip to Rome. You could have everything going in your life. You could have built your dream body. You could have like gotten that promotion you really wanted. But still it's like everyone's always like, "Oh, like have you got a boyfriend? Have you got a girlfriend? Like, have you got a partner?" Like family reunions are always like, "Oh, you're gonna bring a boy next. You're gonna bring a boy next year." Back in my day, like none of this dating app stuff. It's like I feel like there's a lot of pressure of surrounding your love life. And going back to my point about everyone's on their own path and there is no set path. However, society makes you feel like there is a set path. That's the fun in it because there's no deadline to love. Nobody likes a deadline. Nobody likes a deadline. There's no deadline to love. Now, onto the topic of tackling the nerves around relationships. I'm a strong believer in the best relationships come from friendships. And I think this is because the stakes are like on the floor. Because you're just going out to make friends, which you would be probably doing anyway. You don't have to be like pacing back and forwards, like stressed out, like before a first date. Like, is this going to be my future husband, like wife, partner? The stakes are on the floor because you're just going out to make friends. If it clicks and it could be more, then great. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. The stakes are literally on the floor, and you've not lost anything. You've maybe just gained a new friend, or maybe you've gained something that could progress into something more. It's far less intimidating to just establish a friendship and then play it by ear and see if it builds something more than like swiping at 2 a.m. on like 4 different dating apps, then going on a date with a stranger, you know, getting yourself all dolled up to go to a restaurant that you probably don't even like. It's just like fancy. You can't pronounce the menu items. The menu items cost more than you imagine. And you're sitting across from a guy who's like been explaining ultimate frisbee rules for the past like 15 minutes. And he's got a ketchup stain on his collar. And you're like, is that a ketchup stain or is he actually an axe murderer? You don't know. You don't know. And I think going from a friendship to a relationship just removes all that kerfuffle. So if you have a friendship that starts to color outside the lines of what a friendship is, then you already have an established connection with this person. You already know who they are. They call their mother every night. You know how they tap their foot when they get anxious. You know that they go to every midnight screening of Star Wars. You know these things about them, you know who they are as a person, and you probably, if they're a friend, you've got a lot of shared experiences with them. Maybe you're in the same workplace, or you're in the same like club, or you went to uni together, or you're friends of friends. You have shared experiences, and it's not so awkward. You know, you're just like testing the footing with someone you already know. And I just think that really just pushes down the anxiety of like first dates and like meeting a new person that you don't know as a stranger. You're just building like a deeper connection with somebody you already know. And I think this allows you to like hit the ground running because you already know them and you already have so many shared experiences. You're just taking like one little step further, and you can just keep taking step by step by step and just play it by ear and see how you feel. See how you both feel testing the limits of like a romantic relationship. And I think that just like you're just taking another step forwards with an already really good friend. And that really just takes down the stakes. It also takes down a lot of the pressures that are associated with a relationship, maybe like meeting their parents. Maybe you've already met their parents, you know? Excuse me. Maybe you grow up with them and you already know their parents, you already know their social circle, perhaps your friends already with their friends. You don't have that stress of like, oh my gosh, are their friends gonna like me? You know, you don't have all those stresses associated with it because you're already a part of their life. You're not scared really about like finding out things about them because you've already known them. You've already crossed those hurdles, and those hurdles were in a friendship where the stakes are so much lower. And the thing is, there's like the honeymoon stage, the first 3 months, where you're like, you're so in love with each other, you're just so obsessed with each other. And I think if you've not got like a really kind of strong foundation of friendship, it can sometimes be hard to make it out of that because you've not got that foundation to build on. Now, instead of talking about like where you're going to find your future relationship, we're going to talk about where to find your future friends that could then progress into a relationship because that's what we're focusing on. We're focusing on friendships that could amount to something more. Now, I have been seeing all over my feed run clubs. Run clubs are like the hottest new place to find like your future partner or find your like friend group and stuff like that, which I totally get. Like, you're turning up to like a weekly event and you're chatting to people if you can chat while you run. um and it's really good. It's you're exercising like endorphins. It's fun and you're doing something you enjoy. But if you're like me and not I'm not able to talk while running, I don't know how people are, but props to you if you can, then I recommend more looking into like hobbies related clubs and societies. And best places to find them, I'd say you can look on Facebook. Facebook has like hundreds, thousands of groups on there, especially like not just like online groups, but like in person groups. Um, I have seen everything on Facebook from a Wallace and Gromit group to like book clubs. Another place for groups and societies, your local library might be advertising like groups in the area, or I think more attuned to find like people your age if you're like in your 20s is your local colleges and universities. And you don't always have to be a student to join these clubs. You can just join as like a non-student. And I think that's a good way to find people that are really going to be like your age group. Also look in your workplace. I know a lot of like big companies will have like walking groups or like running groups or like different groups like that that you might not have actually realized that if you just reach out and ask. I think clubs and societies are like the best way to find your people because you're connecting over a shared interest, so there's already something to talk about. Maybe it's like a film club and you're just obsessed with horror movies, and you can find someone that you can talk about like the whole Conjuring series. And like having that kind of like shared excitement over something, it gives you like a constant conversation starter of like, oh, like, do you want to go see this movie that's came out, like a new horror movie? Or how did you find this one? Oh, I watched your recommendation. There's like, it's easier to talk about things because you've got a shared interest. You're not having to be like, yeah, so how was your day? Yeah, my day was fine. Yeah, I took my dog, you know, boring. You can like talk about something you know you have a shared interest about. And also, if you've got that shared interest, I feel like you're more likely to be like similar kind of people. But there are so many groups. There's writing groups, there's book clubs, there's film societies, there's run clubs. There's a club for like every single sport. You know, there's my Wallace and Gromit Society, which I'm not ashamed to say that I do check that Facebook page from time to time. Um, there's like fashion groups. There's so many. There's pottery groups. There's so many different clubs and societies that you can join that you're really going to find like your people. Another thing that's similar to clubs and societies, but it's not, is joining like courses or classes. So I personally recently joined a writing club, a writing class, a writing course. It's like a 10-week course on creative writing. I just did it for fun. Um, and I've met people that have been fun to chat to through that. You've all got a shared interest again, but also it's like a concentrated experience. So I'm on that group, that class for 10 weeks, and I'm seeing that group every single week. So you're obviously going to build up like friendships with people. Other things like workout classes, maybe like a Zumba class. Zumba's so overrated, underrated. Sorry, Zumba's so fun. Or Pilates classes, or maybe martial arts, or boxing, things like that. If it's a workout class, you're perhaps seeing like the same people in rotation. It becomes easier to like connect with those people. But it doesn't just have to be sport. There's like pottery classes, there's painting classes, there's writing classes. There's so many different classes, and if you reach out to your local college or university, they'll often have like little short courses that like aren't like an undergraduate degree. They're just like little short courses that maybe you get some credits for. It's a cool thing to put in your CV, and it's a nice experience to go out, learn something new, and have that experience of like meeting new people and meeting them on a regular basis, which I think is really important. It makes it so much easier to build up that connection if you're seeing them on a regular basis. But I think you would be surprised. There is a class and there is a club for that very niche hobby that you have. Just Google it. Just Google it. Go onto Facebook. Go in like socials. See what people are posting. People are creating clubs all the time and they want people to join. They're looking for you. So take your niche hobby, scrapbooking, and Google it. Go on Facebook. Go on Instagram. Go on TikTok. Everything. There will be something for you. But I think my most important piece of advice to take away is talk to people. What do you have to lose? Our 20s is such a scary time. It's so daunting. What do you have to lose by talking to people? I think there's very few people in this life that go through it not wanting friends. I'm sure there's very few people out there. I don't want to say like everyone wants to make friends because I just don't. But people want to make friends. People want to have connections. They want to feel like they're part of a community. So take it step by step. Find your hobby. Go Google it. Go on Facebook, find the clubs and societies with your shared interest. And then the most important part is that you actually go to them, because it's very easy to just join the WhatsApp group and don't say anything and say that you'll go, but then don't actually go. Tell someone that you're going. Maybe you live with whoever you live with. If you live on your own, tell somebody, say, I'm going to the knitting club on Thursday from 6 till 8. Put it in your calendar, write it down, put a reminder on your phone, because I know it's so scary to go to these things for the first time, but you will never regret going, but you will regret not going. I'd say within reason, but 9 times out of 10 is going to be a positive experience. And if it's not a positive experience, then at least you know that that just wasn't the club for you, and to try again. So build up your circle and don't put pressure on yourself. Maybe someone in your circle gives you a little spark that could materialize to something more and become a relationship. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't, and that's fine, because at least you gained a new friend. And what is wrong with that? I want to emphasize that relationships shouldn't be daunting. They don't need to be daunting. They are fun, they're exciting. It's finding your person. It's exciting to just test and try and see what you like and see what kind of people connect with you. It's going to be a person that you love and feel so much comfort and connection with. And that's a really special thing. So thank you for the person that put this question into me. I write a newsletter over on Substack where I have an advice column called Dear Holly, where my subscribers pop in their questions to me. They just message me them, and I write an article on answering that question. And recently I'm going to start doing video dedicated to answering their questions in maybe more of like a detailed, casual way. So I will put the link to my Substack in the description. And if you want to see more videos like this, I would love if you subscribe and like the video. That would be so exciting. But yeah, keep me updated on how this goes. If you have had this feeling of like the dauntingness around relationships and even friendships, I'd love to hear in the comments. I'd love to help the best I can. And yeah. Please send in more questions and I will do my very best to answer them. But I will see you next time for another advice video. Bye bye!